This video is on how to evaluate expressions. The steps for evaluating expressions are: 1. Put a parentheses in place of the letters that you have. Step 2. Plug the correct number into the correct parentheses. And step 3. Make sure you use the order of operations when you do the math. Alright, let's try a couple. First of all, I have A is 2, B is 4, and C is 5. So I know what A, B, and C equal. The first thing I want to figure out is 3A plus 5. What does this equal? Evaluate the expression. Step number 1, put a parentheses in place of the letters. I have 3 times A, I'm putting a parentheses, plus 5. So step 1 was put a parentheses everywhere you see a letter. I had an A, I put a parentheses. Step 2, plug the correct number into the correct parentheses. A goes into this parentheses. A is 2, so I'm going to put a 2 in there. Step 3, do the math. Order of operations says this is 3 times 2 plus 5. Order of operations says multiply before you add and subtract. 3 times 2 is 6. Then I'm going to do 6 plus 5, which is 11. 3A plus 5 equals 11. Let's try the next problem. Step number 1, put a parentheses everywhere there's a letter. 4 times B minus 3 times C. Step 2, plug in the correct number in the correct parentheses. B goes into this parentheses, and C goes into this parentheses. B is 4, and C is 5. The correct number has to go into the correct parentheses. Now use the order of operations to do the math. Order of operations says multiply from left to right. So here's my first multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. So now I have 16 minus 3 times 5. You do not subtract here. Order of operations says do all the multiply and divide from left to right before the add and subtract. So I cannot do this add or subtract until I've done all multiply. 16 minus 3 times 5. So I'm going to do the multiply first. 3 times 5 is 15. So this problem finally turns out to be 16 minus 15, which is 1. All right, I've got a couple of more problems to try. Okay, I have a new set of numbers for A, B, and C. This time, A is 2, B is a negative 5, and C is 7. Let's try this. Step 1, put a parentheses everywhere you see a letter. C squared plus B squared. So I put a parentheses everywhere there's a letter. Put the correct number in the correct parentheses. C is 7, and B is negative 5. Then do the math using order of operations. Order of operations says do what's inside the parentheses. Nothing's inside the parentheses to do. Do the powers next. 7 to the second power is 7 times 7, which is 49. And then negative 5 to the second power is negative 5 times negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Negative times a negative is a positive. So negative 5 squared is a positive 25. There's a plus sign between them. Now I just add these. 49 plus 25 is 74. And the last problem I have. A to the third minus B to the third. Put a parentheses everywhere you see a power. A to the third minus B to the third. I put whatever A equals in the A spot. A is 2. Whatever B equals in the B spot, B is negative 5. I now do the powers. 2 to the third power. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 to the third power. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Now I'm going to do just this part right here. Negative 5 to the third power. Negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. 3 negatives, negative, negative, negative. An odd number of negatives gives me a negative answer. An even number of negatives gives me a positive answer. And then, don't forget, I still have a negative between them. So this problem is really 8 minus a negative 5. Before we work this out, I have two signs next to each other. I can change them to one sign. A negative negative changes to a positive. If you're not sure how this works, I have a video on how to add and subtract real numbers and how all the different signs are affected. So the negative negative changes to a positive there. So I really have 8 plus 125, which equals 133. This was the video on how to evaluate. Remember, the steps are: put a parentheses in place of the letter, plug the correct number in the correct parentheses, and then do the math, making sure you use the order of operations. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it helps.